Hey there, guys. You may have noticed that they have opened up Clash of Wills now. Earlier this morning, when they opened it up, I went in there and live streamed my attempts. You know, if you're watching, we got a rank 1 in like 2 or 3 tries. The boss seems to be very, very simple, at least using the party that I used. So I optimized it a little bit, made the team slightly better, and we're going to be going in and I'm going to be recording the live stream team that I used earlier to get a rank 1. So we're going to be using a water party with Aang as the leader, also to deal good damage, Chow and Hayo for damage as well, Kaito for the field, Jekt as our tank, and Melissa as our support. And as far as focus abilities, we're getting them from Hayo and Jekt. So let's get in here and get a rank 1. Turn chart will be in the comments. And before you ask, you know, what if I don't have units like Jekt? What if I didn't pull for Aang, etc.? Like I said, this boss seems to be really simple, so I'm pretty sure we can make this work with all kind of parties. And over the course of the week, I'll be doing more clears with different teams. But for now, we're going to use this one. So on turn 1, Chow will imbue the party with Wardica. We're going to Shelga. We're going to Bar Warderja and Netherworld Stream. Hayo, in the base form, will do Crimson Undermine and then just hit the boss twice for the morale gain. Melissa is going to do Shared Immunity, Chronic Flow, and Parasol Shield. And speaking of morale gain, you might notice the Mania mode has been moved to 175%. See this little purple triangle on the morale bar? That's the new Mania mode. And for the way I'm doing the clear, we want to hit it pretty quickly. We're going to be hitting Mania on turn 3. That's our goal. And if you can't do that, you know, you can adjust the turn chart and all that. But for now, that's how we're doing it. Anyway, turn 1, Aang is going to do... We're going to use both his Magnus arrow skills. That's going to dispel the boss as well as fill the morale gauge. And then clear Sun for the stat gain. Jekt is going to do Cover, Protectka, and we're going to do his 99 Fairy Mitigation. Honestly, that's way overkill. If you don't have Jekt, you're replacing him with, like, you know, Snow, Runda, Warrior of Light, whatever. It's going to be fine. And then Kaito in the base form. Now, we do need Mirage this turn. So base form Kaito will Swelling, Receding, and Tranquil. Because the boss does some cover-ignoring AoE physical, and it hits pretty hard. But we're going to Mirage it with Kaito. So here we go. Some Miraged attacks, then the small attacks at the end. They don't hit very hard. And the rest of the damage on our tank, very, very low damage. We're wearing a lot of resist gear as well. I'll show you the gear at the end. Okay. So on turn 2, we're going to do a small burst next turn, which is really not even that important. If you saw the live stream, you know why, but we're going to do it anyway. So Jekt on turn 2 will LB. Kaito will shift here, and we're going to do Downpour, Crashing Waves, and we're going to put up his field. We're going to use Aang to do Placid Concentration, not Poised, Placid. Sky Shooter and Rolling Mist for the field. Hayo will do Ultimate Flame just for the morale gain. That's the only reason. And then some attacks to fill the morale gauge. Chow is going to quad here. We're going to do Ocean, Fluffy, and then Stream twice to fill the morale gauge. And Melissa will Minutes for the morale gauge. Dragon Killer on Chow, and then another killer on anyone, doesn't matter who. So this is a low damage turn. We're covering with Jekt, not a big deal. We did Jekt's LB for the mitigation. And yeah, if you saw the live stream, you know that on the burst turn, we did 25 billion damage, which OTKs the boss from way above max health. So honestly, you don't need to deal any damage to the boss until the burst turn. But in case your gear is weaker, I'm still going to do a small burst early on to lower the boss's health. Honestly, it's probably irrelevant. Now, one thing I'm going to point out, and this is kind of important for the way I'm doing the clear, notice the morale gauge. We're at 168 right now. On turn 1 and 2, you want to go as close to 175 without going over. We don't want to activate Mania Mode on turn 2, but we do want to activate it on turn 3. So I intentionally got as close as I could with the gear I'm using, the autocast gear, the stuff like the vision cards and all that, to get close to 175 without going over. Now on turn 3, we do want to hit the vertex gauge. So what we're going to do, we're going to use Melissa's SLB on someone, literally doesn't matter who, just use the SLB for the mitigation. We're now going to use Kaito in the shift form to do, before we burst, we're going to do deadly, natural, and deep. Now we're going to do some damage with Aang and Chow. It doesn't matter if they're using their LB or SLB, if maybe Chow is EX2, Aang is EX3, it doesn't matter. Just we're going to use both their LBs. And we're going to toss Jekt in there for the mitigation, but we're not going to use Hayo. So we're going to save Hayo, we're not going to burst with him. We're going to go ahead and just deal a little bit of damage. Like I said, the damage here is literally irrelevant, because we're going to OTK the boss from 100% on the chance turn. But that's just a little bit of free damage there. Now, as the last action, Hayo is going to shift and use Blazing Spirit and only Blazing Spirit. That's going to imbue the boss with fire. The reason this is important, now we're in Mania Mode, because the boss is going to use a gravity attack that sets your tank to like 5,000 HP. Then he's going to do a bunch of really powerful attacks, and I was usually losing Jekt on that turn. You probably could make him survive with barriers and all, but honestly speaking, just imbuing the boss with Hayo is a super simple way to get it done. Because there's the gravity damage, and here's all the follow-up damage. Okay, some of them ignore cover and ignore provoke. That was unfortunate that one hit Kaito, but he gutsed, it's okay. I guess there's a tiny amount of RNG there. Almost always it'll just be covered by Jekt, but sometimes he might pick someone like that. If someone dies, I guess try again. That's the first time that's ever happened in like 4 attempts for me, so I guess it can happen. But Kaito gutsed it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. We're fine. Anyway, on turn 4, we're in Mania Mode. So we're going to use Jekt to start casting Focused Energy, and Hayo as well. These are both the older versions, or the weaker version of Focused Energy, but with 2 of them, we're going to get it filled in time. If you're using like Noctis, for example, 1 is all you need. But we're using Jekt plus Hayo. Alright, so Aang can really do, honestly, whatever. He's just going to use his Eyes of the Hunter 3 times, all 3 of them, because why not? Kaito will just refresh his buffs. We'll do Field. We'll do Downpour. And we'll do Deep. We can have Chow refresh buffs as well. At this point, we're just waiting for the gauge to be filled. So Bar Warderja, N Warderga, Shelga, and we can do a Stream. And then Melissa. Now, this is important. Melissa as the last action. We're going to imbue the boss again. So Melissa, on this turn, will use Uncontrollable Darkness to Dark Imbue the boss. We'll refresh the immunity buff with Shared Immunity, and we'll do a Kurega just to top off Kaito. So this turn is going to be more cover-ignoring physicals, and Kaito's Mirage is on cooldown, so we're going to imbue the boss. Resistances on the party don't matter here, because Melissa makes us absorb the dark damage. So here comes some cover-ignoring attacks, no big deal. Eventually, all these auto-castings that the boss is doing is very, very tedious and annoying, and hopefully they can find a better way to grant Vertex abilities, because these auto-casts are terrible. Anyway, some attacks on the party. We're absorbing everything. Literally immune. This is the problem with purely physical bosses, is they get heavily, like, toothless with imbues on the boss. Anyway, this turn, Hayo can use Focused Instinct. Now, notice how Hayo's Focused Energy has a 5-turn cooldown. We're going to be reducing that with Melissa in a moment. So for now, just Focused Instinct. Kaito can, again, just kind of do whatever. We'll just do Deadly, Natural, and Downpour. He's mostly just here for the field and the killers. Jekt can refresh his cover. So we're going to cover. We're going to protect +3. And then we'll do I'll find a way for the 90 mitigation. We're going to use Aang on this turn to refresh Clear Sun. We're going to do Morning Dew, and then we'll just do one of his attacks, doesn't matter which one. Now, we need to use Melissa's normal LB this turn. Ours is not filled up, that's fine. She's very close, so we're going to use Chow to fill her the rest of the way. You can single, triple, quad cast Bar Waterja. We only need like one cast, we'll do it twice, then we'll just Purega as well. So now we can LB with Melissa targeting Hayo. This is going to reduce the cooldown of that Focused Instinct because we want to kill the boss on turn 8, the way I like to do this. So that's going to let us do Vertex on turn 7. We're going to then reduce the cooldown again with Melissa in a moment. So turn 5 is a low damage turn. We don't have any imbues on the boss, but it doesn't really matter that much. It's a low damage turn, no gravity, not many cover ignorings. Like one cover ignoring attack, but it's minor. So we don't need imbues this turn. Jekt will cover the majority of it, and he is wearing resistance gear for most of it. Yeah, one cover ignoring hit Aang, it did like no damage. This is a low damage turn. Next turn is not a low damage turn, but we've got a plan for it. Okay, so we're going to be killing the boss on turn 8, meaning we need to Vertex on turn 7. So what we're going to do, we're going to first of all, the next 2 turns are a little painful, so we're going to imbue the boss again. So the way we're going to do this, Melissa is going to All-Consuming Darkness for a global, battlefield-wide AoE Dark Imbue, including our party, including the boss. And then we're going to just use some killers. It doesn't matter on who, not that one. Just kill her twice. Okay, so we don't want our party imbued with darkness for 3 turns. So now, after Melissa, we're going to use Chow. And Chow is going to quad. And we're going to now use Encouraging Waves, which is going to remove the Dark Imbue from our party and give us the Water Imbue and the 100 Amplify for the 3rd turn. Now we can also just do Arcane Supplementation for that big burst, and then double Netherworld Stream. Hayo can just do Refine Stance, just for that bigger Fist in Peril for himself. Aang will help start getting set up for bursting by Hunter of the Mystical for the big killers, Sky Shooter for that bird killer again, and Awakened Divinity for his own modifier buff. Jekt can SLB again. It's honestly not that big a deal. We're literally immune to damage for the rest of the fight, but, you know, whatever. Kaito can do Deadly, Natural, and we'll put the field back up. And that's it. That's good. So yeah, the whole party is absorbing darkness, and the boss is darkness imbued. All of the boss's attacks are physical or hybrid, so yeah, even if Jekt wasn't here anymore, we're literally invulnerable for the remainder of this fight. So who cares what the boss does? The boss has no magical attacks whatsoever. Oh, the gravity damage, though, is still going to hit us. So here's the gravity damage, and this is why we're imbuing the boss, because that would either kill your tank or be very dangerous with the tank going to 5,000 HP and then a bunch of really hard-hitting AoEs that the tank would be covering. But the way we did it, we're fine. So, this is the turn we want to use our Vertex ability. Now, if you'll notice, we're only at 2.8 Vertex crystals. We're filling 2,400 a turn, or 1,200 with 2 units. So we're at 1,200 or 2,400 4 turns we've done. So we're at 9,600 out of 10,000 focus. So what we're going to do, we're going to use Hayo to cast Focus Energy again. It's not ready, so Melissa will SOB targeting Hayo. And now we can Focus Energy again, and that fills the 3rd Focus Gem. If you notice, the Focus Gem is now filled up in the middle of the screen. So now we can activate Chance Mode. So Aang is going to use his Enduring Love. Then we'll do, as we get ready for the next turn, we'll do his 180 Amplify with Poised. And then we'll do the field again. Rolling Mist. Kaito. Now, the boss does have these buffs that are going to be a problem on the burst turn. Do not dispel the boss yet, because that'll get rid of the Dark Imbue. We do not want that Dark Imbue removed. So what Kaito is going to do for the moment, we're going to just do Downpour. And then we'll do these bottom skills, Unpredictable and Undulating. These will not remove the Dark Imbue. Now, the mitigation is still there. We're going to deal with that. Don't worry about it. And Chow will now do, get ready for next turn, he'll do Fluffy, Ocean, Malediction, and Inwardiga. And Jacked with his cover again. We'll do... It really doesn't matter because we're immune to the damage, but who cares? Wardiga and whatever. Whatever. I was supposed to do the fairy mitigation, but honestly, it doesn't matter because we're immune to the damage. We're absorbing still. 3 turns of absorption. So here's the attacks. There's the piercing damage yet again. Yeah, that was a piercing damage turn, and this is why we really wanted the boss to be imbued for all these turns. Anyway, we're now going to be killing the boss, but not yet. Not yet. The boss still has mitigation. So what we're now going to do is Kaito can either normal attack or Crashing Waves. Crashing Waves is off cooldown. We're just going to normal attack in his shift form, and that'll get rid of the mitigation. So now we are good to kill. Before we do, Melissa will just give seconds of support to someone. We'll give it to Aang to make him nice and flashy. That's a modifier buff. And here we go. We're going to use Shifted LB of Hayo, SLB of Chow, SLB of Aang. Now, we still need the chain count score as well. So Jack will just triple bolting just to weave in and increase that chain count to over 100. And here we go. So we're going to deal, on the live stream, we did 24 billion. Yeah, the boss has 15 billion HP. So whatever we did, it's more than 15. 22.8. I did 24.5 on the live stream, but variance, you know. Anyway, so that OTKs the boss from 100%. So if you don't really want to bother with that burst turn on turn 3, you don't need to. And there's a perfect score. There's the perfect score. We killed it during chance time and everything. You know, relatively simple. Here's the damage breakdown. So Aang, you know, did 10, Chow did 9, Hayo did 8. Don't forget though, Hayo did not burst on turn 3. Aang and Chow both did an LB on turn 3. Hayo did not. So Hayo actually did really good here. Anyway, I'm actually already finished tickets. Kind of nice to see that I got that done. So there it is. You know, very, very, very simple, straightforward. The boss is squishy as all hell. So, oh, yeah, it was requested that I show with all these turned on. So we'll show you my stats with all those turned on. So here is the party that we used. As far as swaps, if you want to use the same kind of party but don't have like one unit, as far as the tank goes, I feel like Jecht is probably the best tank here just because his kit has some nice stuff in it. He gets Aang's leader skill, he's very bulky, and he's got like the water stuff going on. If you don't have Jecht, I still recommend you use a non-global tank so they can use focus abilities. So, like I said earlier, Snow, Warrior of Light, Runda, etc. Now, some of those won't get leader skills. Snow will get Veritas of the Frost's leader skill. Runda gets Hayo, Ramza, and Lightning's leader skill. Warrior of Light will get Noctis's leader skill. And Tybus's leader. No, he won't get Tybus's. No, he'll just get Noctis's. So yeah, there's a bunch of tanks that still fit other leader skills that are from JP. And you also want another focus unit. So we used Hayo. Another option is Ayabrea, 2B, A2, Addison Ray, Flaring Aether Rain, Deity Tybus, Void Mage. Basically, any unit from JP that has the Clash of Wills tag, they can also do, well, any JP unit, period, can do the focus abilities. And they all have Vertex abilities. Anyway, here is the party that we used. Melissa, some morale fill with Peppermint Rod. That's kind of the hardest thing, is filling the morale gauge in time. So, you know, it's a little tricky to do. Like I said, you want to cross the Mania mode on turn 3. Not before, not after. On turn 3. For this strategy. So Hayo in the base form is using Empress Rod, Treasured Ring, some auto buffing, like literally who cares. Shift form is damage, and there it is. There's the damage. Resistances and all don't matter. Oh, the whole party wants to be immune to blind, by the way. The boss does blind with blind imperil, so you need immunity plus a resist buff. Chow right here, using this gear. I thought Chow would be the highest damage dealer. It turned out Aang is actually slightly better, so maybe I should have given Aang more of the Clash gear, but whatever. I mean, we did 22 billion. All we needed was 5. So, Kaito is dual-wielding a morale card. You know, if you have that, it's useful. His damage is irrelevant. So there it is, water weapon, all that kind of fun stuff. Shift form identical. Make sure he's using his TMR or STMR, though. Otherwise, he won't get some of his skills, so we're using his No-Kun apparel thing. Jekt is our tank. Now, he's using decent fire resist, as well as some water, wind, and light resist. You don't need a ton. Fire is the most important, only because we imbue the boss on turn 3, and you want him completely immune to fire on turn 3. Hayo does not give you fire absorption. As far as dark resist, doesn't matter, because all of Melissa's absorbs, or all of Melissa's imbues, come with an absorb for the tank, so you can ignore resistances. So there's the gear we used, right there, a lot of resist gear, and just like Paladin Cecil, Jekt has literally maxed out passives on everything he gears. Very, very easy for this, which is why I like Jekt for this fight. And then Aang is damage. Leftover gear, I should have prioritized him. I figured at EX2 he's not going to be as impressive, but whatever, it worked out. Okay, turn chart will be in the comments, and this weekend I'll work on a light or an ice party clear. As far as wind goes, probably not. Probably not. Anyway, see you in a bit.